Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which time you're viewing this particular replay. Hopefully it will have a live audience turn up and it will be a good morning for them. Every weekday, or well, almost every weekday at 11 o'clock, I am hosting this show, the Social Distance Social Club. Today is Friday, very exciting. I've got a smashing interview lined up. The way it works, I'm a rider confidence coach, have been for 10 years. I've written a little book, Control Your Stress and Enjoy Your Horse, which has gone down very well. And people come onto the show. So I'm going to put a little link into the morning, Karen. I'm going to put a little link into the chat, and then you click the link. And if you've got any question on rider confidence or mental strategies to do with lockdown, because confidence on horses transfers to everything else, or just general questions about horses, or even I have written a book. I have transferred my business, well, 10% of it from a bricks and mortar business, riding school, into an internet business. I'll also help you with that. Not that I'm an expert, but I do know my story of how I did it. If I can help, I will. So that's the format of the show. It's a live questions and answers show. I'm going to put in the link, but first of all, I'd like to introduce you to our guest. Bianca Stawialski lives in Australia. She's a horse archer. She's a psychologist. She runs the Warida Wholeistic Wellness Centre. Actually, I'll shut up. I'll just let her tell you all about it. So without any further ado, please welcome Bianca. Hello.
Hey there, how are you?
Fine, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Very much for joining. We can hear you. There's a bit of a crackle going on, so I don't know if that's your plug wandering about, but yes, I can hear you quite clearly.
Great. So
about
thank you so much for having me on your show.
About a year ago, we did an interview, so some of the people here will know you already. Some of the people I recognise from the Mounted Division Ultimate Rider Confidence course who know you very well indeed. Bianca's been a contributor to the Ultimate Rider Confidence course, a 3-month online course. You've also contributed in so many other ways to this show and this platform, and so a lot of people have seen that interview. They already know you, or they've been on the course and they know you, but there are some people that don't know you. So would you like to introduce yourself and what you do to those people?
Sure. So as you just said, Carl, I'm based here in Australia. I'm a counsellor, not a psychologist, but I just
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, that's okay. We're all awesome anyway. It's fine. And I'm an equine assisted psychotherapist, and also, as you said, a horse archery coach. And yeah, do a bit of everything really. I'm really focused on well-being, confidence, making sure that there is no reason that people feel the need not to ride or not to participate or not just be their awesome selves. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I have well-being retreats. We run internationally, which of course COVID stopped our well-being retreat this year, but we're all about holistic well-being. So looking at how all facets of well-being contribute, which is super important at this time in our lives, I suppose.
So obviously I met you through the horse connection. How much is the horse connection to do with your wellness connection? How do they marry up? Are they separate businesses?
No, they're the same business, because I actually look at things like horse archery as a therapeutic modality rather than a sport focused, and also equine assisted psychotherapy, or you might call it equine therapy or equine assisted therapy, which is working with trauma clients. And so that's the horse side is probably 2/3 of my business. and it's all under Warida Wholeistic Wellness. And for those that don't know, Warida means wedge-tail eagle in my Budimai language, which is an Aboriginal language. I'm of Aboriginal descent. And so that's a nod to my family's totem. So it's really, really important for us.
And isn't there some, your centre or your project is on Aboriginal land? Have I got that right? Something?
Yes. Yeah. Well, all of Australia's on Aboriginal land, but
Of course. I stand corrected.
But specifically,
I read on your website.
Yeah. So specifically, where our centre's located in the Adelaide Hills is actually Paramount country. So that's a specific language group. It has its own distinct language and culture and customs and things like that. So every time that we have a retreat or an event that's occurring on land, on country, we call it country. We always have an elder from the language group that's their country to welcome people to their space, to their country, so that it's a sign of respect. And me as a Budimai person, which is from another part of Australia, I don't have permission to welcome people because it's not my country.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
probably sounds very strange, but
how is the setup? People come to you. Is it camps? Is it day courses? How do you do what you do, particularly with the horses? But actually, I'm quite interested in all of it.
Yeah. So here, located at our centre, we have day courses or weekends, and they might be anything to do with well-being. So, sometimes we have traditional weaving activities, which is about a connection, because obviously for a lot of people, everybody, the issue is disconnection. And so it's about getting back to looking and being in the environment. And so we run those kinds of activities, as well as wellbeing retreats, in the sense that people can cut. How often do we actually stop and spend time becoming aware of who we are and how we fit and interact in the environment? So that's really important. But then I also have people come one-to-one. Generally, people that have a mental health diagnosis, or trauma, or people for confidence, come and see me here at the centre, or I travel to them. And so I work outreach across Australia. So quite often I'm in my car driving, a few thousand kilometres to go and bring this information to other people, because for me it's really important. So I live in the Adelaide Hills, which is not far out of Adelaide, like the actual city. But for me, it's really important that people in the country that always have to travel to me or to services in major towns or cities. So I actually like to go to see them. So I work with their horses, and I can do equine assisted therapy with their horses, or horse archery, whatever that is. So I travel all over. I'm flying all over the place. Not at the moment, obviously, because our borders are closed.
Yeah. So I've got a few questions. Where did you grow up? Let's start off. Let's go right back. How is it that you got involved with horses? Where did you grow up? Where were you born? What was your family doing?
Okay. So I was my Aboriginal side comes from a long line of stock women and men. So I'm not sure what your language translation is for that. Basically, we have massive farmland stations hundreds of thousands of acres.
And was this
And
all around the Adelaide area? Have you always been there?
so I grew up in Adelaide, in the Adelaide Hills, on a beautiful property in Oakbank. It's basically the largest picnic races in the world. So I grew up around racehorses and doing track work, which is funny because I'm really quite tall. So all of those kinds of fun things.
You've ridden horses since you were twee wee wee, yes?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, and then I had a break and moved to a really quite quite a rural place.
Yeah.
Very small, only 4,000 people in the entire district. And then had given up riding and then came back to it and moved back here to Adelaide again and live on a beautiful property.
So how did you come to horseback archery?
So I started off equestrian vaulting. So my daughter. Yeah. So my daughter was doing equestrian vaulting. So of course I, learnt to be an instructor and did all those kinds of things. And then I thought, I want to do something for me and my horse, not just for everybody else, which is what happens as a mum.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to get left behind.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I just thought, hey, horseback archery is a little bit crazy.
Where did you hear about it?
It actually, at that stage, I was keeping my horses at an agistment centre, not far away from here, purely because I needed to rest my paddocks, and I just thought, oh, that sounds interesting. An instructor came to the equestrian centre. I thought, I'm going to do that. I don't even have to go anywhere. It's right there. And yeah,
so
I just
saw an advert for a clinic and thought, oh, that looks interesting, and away you went.
That looks like fun.
Wow.
And oh my gosh.
How long have you been doing horseback archery for then?
6 years, I think. So it sounds like not hardly anything, but
I met you on the internet about 6 years ago. So in my eyes, you've always been a horseback archer.
Yeah,
for the whole of your life.
I just went, why not? And then I met, Trey Schlichting, who came over to Australia, and he said, come to America and compete. And I went, oh, I don't think so. That seems a bit full on for me. Anyway, so he convinced me. He said, no, you'll be fine. And exactly 1 year to the day of picking up horseback archery, I was competing in America. Wow. In my grade, and I won everything in my grade. So I came back with these amazing trophies and shooting zombies at Halloween in Texas. So that was so much fun.
That was the zombie course. I remember the zombie course. That would have been about then.
It was so much fun. And then the next year I came again and then competed in Texas and Pennsylvania. And then I just got busy because everyone wanted to learn, and so I encouraged so you've got pony clubs in the UK. So I had been trying for a number of years to get our pony club to take it on, to the association, and then suddenly they just contacted me and said, hey, we've got so many people that want to do this as an activity. Will you come to our pony club? I went, sure.
Cool.
So I wrote an achievement patch because in South Australia our pony clubs have badges. They do certain things like orienteering or tent pegging or whatever it might be. So we have a horse archery patch. So I wrote the patches for that and just then travelled around Australia assessing it.
Brilliant. So I just like to apologise for the noise of the groundsman doing that. I tried to
That's right.
I tried to mute as much as possible, and the vague bits where I was looking distracted is where I'm trying to. I've just got an error happening on StreamYard here, so I'm trying to tell everybody to ask Bianca a question. Go to,
Yes.
and I'm putting the link on. So come on, everybody, join in the broadcast. Every time I put it on, the link said the broadcast this has been deleted from Facebook. So I've been bobbing onto Facebook while still listening to what it's saying. So I think we're all rocking. I think it's all groovy. Yeah.
And I've just come in from feeding horses, and that's so I've got the cat drag me.
The comments section seems to be working again. Seems to be.
Oh, I've got to click on live comments. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Oh, I can see all that now.
Yeah. Sometimes it's going off, but the link, everybody, is on the YouTube chat, on this StreamYard chat being beamed straight to Facebook. But sometimes Facebook is not allowing the link, but the link is on Facebook because I had to go over to it. So jump on the chat and ask a question. So in terms of horse archery, I've seen your horse Dozer, and there's another one hanging about who I've forgotten the name of.
Hottie.
Sorry. Okay.
Hottie.
Is that a relevance to its personality?
No, not at all. His breed name is just a Hottie, and he's the sweetest, kindest, most he's just a really sensitive, amazing horse. So he's actually an American quarter horse, but just so happened to come to stay with me for some reason, and I just went, awesome. He's so much fun. And funny story, he came to stay with me, and the first trail ride I did on him, because I hadn't ridden him, he just came to stay. First trail ride I did on him around our area. We have a lot of wildlife, so kangaroos, emus, and things like that. And normally kangaroos are fine. Emus, horses generally lose their marbles over them, and they're a strange-looking creature, so I can imagine. But kangaroo, so I'm riding along enjoying my day, and a kangaroo jumps out, and my horse Hottie is a cutting horse.
Right.
And suddenly he just went to one side, and as soon as I realised what was going on, I just sat there for the ride laughing my head off. People must have thought I was like some kind of mad woman. We actually cut a kangaroo. So I don't know if the terminology is the same, but the kangaroo tried to come towards us, and we were 90 degrees this way, 180 degrees that way. It was so much fun.
Right, so Hottie is fairly responsive then. So my question is, having met one of your horses and possibly the other one, what's your tactics for horseback archery? Are you a use up all your time and make sure you get the gold, or are you use up all the speed, make sure you get the time points and not hit the gold?
I'm actually somewhere in between.
Okay.
I'm not one of those crazy fast speeds and pretty much miss most of the targets. I'm a kind of, I'm a medium pace, I think. Sort of 10, 12 second run. That's,
Lovely.
So I just love it. I'm just out there to have fun.
I'm a definite speedy person because my horses are speedy from the trick riding, so that's what we've practiced on. Yes. And do you ever have the thing where if you're on a horse, you've got all the time in the world, you're loaded, you're knocked, here comes the target, and you've got so much time that it sort of gives you a moment to doubt yourself, and then you miss it?
100%. Yes, and I started having that problem with the first target, and when you go knocked in, and so they just said to me, don't go knocked in. And then it was sparse, and then suddenly I started hitting it. So yeah, it's too much time to think.
When I got better at knocking and it went on first time every time, I then had too much time whilst I'm approaching the target. And as I got better at knocking, I got worse at hitting anything. So and that lasted for months. Anyway, we've got some guests on, so let's see. Nicola, you know already, so come on then, Nicola. Good morning. How are you? Oh, Nicola, you need to turn your microphone on.
Yes.
Sorry.
Microphone.
Sorry, there you go.
Them's the rules.
I pressed the right button. Yes, sorry, didn't press the right button. I'm where I should be. I'm with my horses.
Hey!
Yay! It's the law. But my question for Bianca is, firstly, to both of you, on the Mantis division, you both have been absolutely fabulous. And I came on in leaps and bounds, and I'm a little bit naffed off with this coronavirus thing, because it's kind of held me up. Because I'm one of the lucky ones, if you like, that were told to completely isolate because I have MS. And I'll just introduce you to Jack, which is the one that was having the trouble with his mane. Here he is.
Hi, Jack.
No. Hey, Jack.
Jack.
I nearly touched the mane now. Doesn't like me. So basically, we were kind of out hacking doing
really?
bits. But
I'd ask that question, Nicola.
Sorry. And basically, what would you be? It's more open to everyone else because I kind of know the answer. But what would be your approach to kind of get back where you came from? Because I kind of feel like I've taken a few backward steps now.
Because of coronavirus?
Yeah, because I obviously can't go out hacking at the moment because I'm still supposed to be in solo isolation. So I'm isolated with my horses, which is the best place to be. Obviously, if I go plop on the road at the minute and end up in hospital, I have zero immune system, so I can't afford to end up in hospital at the moment.
So there's nothing you can do in your yard? I'm looking at your yard. You look like you've got stuff to ride in there.
I've been really busy. Yeah, no, I've got my track going. So what I've been starting to do
is
heaps
of space. What are you talking about?
But I've gone back to doing my get so far down and want to get off and have a good old wobble. I'm like, oh, seriously, pull yourself together, which is not the attitude at all. But I have kind of gone back to doing the bite sizes. So we've been doing lengths at the top of the field. I got Trevor to walk with me the whole way around the strip. I got to the far side and I was like, if you weren't here, I would definitely be getting off. And I was like, this is not good. So I've definitely broken it back into the bite sizes and gone, okay, so what is the worry here? And just making it simple. But I think that was kind of like the key thing that both of you said from the course is like, keep it simple, don't overstretch yourself. Because I kind of went to Trevor, I'm feeling really great today, let's go around the track. And then I got around the far side and was like, I want to go back, I don't like it, I want to go back. And I was like, seriously, I broke the bite size rules utterly. So I think it's kind of a warning, a caution to other people.
What was the first thing on your mind when you decided, I want to go back? Is the main black cloud the fact that the NHS is overstressed and you mustn't go to hospital because it's full of COVID? Is that the main thing that's stopping you?
Probably not, actually. That's probably more a Trevor instilled thing. He's kind of going to me, no, Nikki, you really shouldn't go out on the road. It's not safe. If you fall off now, it's going to be terrible. You'll die. And I'm like,
no, we could do without that.
We could
do without that bit. To the mix.
Hence, he's not here today.
Okay, so I only asked because you mentioned it quite quickly. So what would you say is the thing that's going, I don't like this, I want to go back?
I think Shadow has never liked hacking on her own, and I sense the tension building in her, so I'm riding off the back of that, and then she senses me sitting there going, I'm not sure about it either. So we're kind of like rubbing off each other and winding each other up. And there's a bit where I go, well, when I get someone else and I'll just send somebody else around the field, and I'll go, yeah, my horse goes around the field, and I'll probably then just do it, because I'll go, yeah, she does it, doesn't she? She's not worried. But it is that mind over matter thing, and it is my brain going, there's a monster there, there's a bit of baler twine there, there's a leaf there, and there isn't anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with the horse.
Nicola, your horse has already seen the leaf and the baling twine.
I know.
Well before you have. No, I've got a question for you. What happens when you put your boots on to go riding?
I feel like I'm ready to ride. I I kind of like, because I make myself, because I went through a phase when I first started having kind of wobbles and getting off, I started just riding in my jeans and not putting my chaps on. And so I made a concerted effort to say, right, put the gear on and then you're ready to go and you're in riding mode, which I think does make
And are you ready to go?
Yes,
It's
and I get on
all
quite
well and
happily.
good to say, yes, I am. But are you? Have you checked inside of you what's going on?
I think so. I think you're right to say check inside, because I know when I get to the far side of the field, I'm looking at the far side of the field now going, I know that I sat at the top of that hill going, whoa, what if she gallops off now? And Trevor stood beside me going, but you can deal with it. I'm like, yeah, but my head's telling me some other stuff. It's not good. It's not good. Which is there's that mind over matter thing, which I know before this kicked off and stopped the hacking, I'd kind of conquered most of it, and the hacks were getting longer, and I'd add another segment each day.
Had you conquered it?
I think I had. I was feeling
but
quite
if you had conquered it, then you if you hadn't conquered it, then it wouldn't be coming back up again.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
So
I need to do more digging.
Nicola, what would happen if you took the little threats that you're perceiving? So let's say you mentioned a ball. Was it a ball of baler band?
Baling twine
there's some twine on the other side of the field.
Okay, so what would happen if you went and got that ball of trailing vine or baling twine or something very similar, and got the plastic bag and got the bit of something, laid yourself out a course in your lovely space that we can see behind you, and arrange some figure eights going round them, stopping by them, reversing round them, using them as obstacles. In that situation, I can already see it in your face. You'd be like, I can do that. I can already see what you're doing
on this. Yeah, this top bit, I've kind of like just been circling her, because then once I get her bending and she's listening to me, she goes, oh yeah, and then I'll circle the other way. And she goes, oh yeah, we can go further that way. And then I'll go right back to the other end. And now I put a new obstacle out already, which is today's plan. I'll go the other way. So we cut down a tree last week, so we now got a tree to go over.
What I'm suggesting is not it is despooking your horse situations as well, but mostly it's despooking yourself. You've got yourself into the idea that you're going to jump you're starting to fear the fear. It's like, oh no, now I'm starting to feel worried and the horse is going to pick up on it and blah, 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 which isn't always true. You know, you're allowed to tremble sometimes. Otherwise, anybody who was cold would never go out riding. But if you deliberately set this for yourself and said, I'm going to do this course of the baler string and the other thing I'm worried about and the other thing I'm worried about, I'm going to do it perfectly, I'm going to do it safely, I'm going to do it with the correct amount of bend, pulling the correct figure of eights and everything else, and I'm going to concentrate on the correct stuff that I need to do, so much so that I'm not even going to see the baler band other than a point of geography. And I am going to train myself to
Nicola,
doing even when it's spooking.
Nicola, your horse is outside, is it not?
It is, yes, she's there.
So does he not come across leaves and bags and baling twine?
And that I think I went back into beating myself up mode, because she's been on this track for the last few weeks while we've been resting the main field. And I got cross with myself that I got so far around and went, oh. And I knew I was starting to look for monsters. I knew I was. And the moment you're going, oh, stop it. But I think.
Well, what's something better than stop it? What's something better than stop it?
I suppose it's like create a new diversion, isn't it? It's kind of focus on something else, which is why I started circling her on this top section. Once I focused on making her bend. Well, I just thought if I made her travel in a direction rather than me sitting there going, oh, well, I don't know whether I want to go in the direction I'm actually pointing her in.
Well, what about, though, if you focused on regulating yourself?
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about the out-breath. We've talked about the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system and how, you know, how you can bring yourself back into regulation really, really quickly. So the moment that you notice that you're starting to go, even before that, just as soon as you get a little tiny feeling in your belly or something like that, then use that out breath, use that to start regulating yourself. Then you won't get to the top and go, oh my gosh, I have to turn around.
Yeah.
So this is about you.
Oh no, I know it's about me, because it's like, it's ridiculous, because obviously, like, the old boy that we had, I used to quite happily take him anywhere, and then when he then sadly passed away, I realised how much of a crutch I was using him as, and then you're like, oh, now I feel like I put too much expectation on the other girl, and you're like,
was he a crutch though?
It's not really. I think he was becoming a crutch, just because he was just an absolute rock. So whenever I kind of went, I don't fancy doing that on Shadow today, a bit worried about it, I'd then go and tack him up and ride him instead. So, you know, and especially when
but you're still riding. Weren't you just saying, wow, this horse is so awesome to ride. I can just, you know, we can just enjoy ourselves. What's wrong with that? You're still riding.
Yeah. I think it's like a lot of these things where you start to like beat yourself up if you don't, in your head you don't think, oh, I'm not really doing what I should be doing.
That word.
I think
should.
I know. I'm sliding off the wicked.
You don't have to should anything.
Bianca's touched on a point that I was just about to make, which it's the same thing, phrased a different way. Find the joy. Yeah. Find the joy in training yourself to cope with these spooks by breaking it down into bite size, making a special little course or whatever. All the advice that Bianca and myself have just been talking about. But the joy is in the journey. The joy is in the process. The joy is even when you're feeling confident for 6 months and then you have a dip for a couple of months. We were just speaking about getting the arrow loaded onto the string. And because I'd got better at loading an arrow onto a string, I then had a new problem, as in I had too much time and then started to doubt myself. And I went rubbish for the season. It was like 3 or 4 months. The rest of the season I was ready in loads of time and missing everything. But the overcoming the setbacks, there's a joy in that as well. And there's what's that phrase, that if you're feeling daunted by all the obstacles in front of you, just turn around and look behind you and see what you've passed already.
Definitely. And so you know that you can ride that. And this is about that really understanding how you're feeling, acknowledging that, embracing that, and moving forward. And that's okay. But don't feel that there's anything about should. You're there to ride because you enjoy it.
No one ever found the joy in should.
No.
Just a whole lot of pressure.
I know this is self-instilled pressure that I've gone, oh, well, I should, or I could be doing that. And you're like, but I'm not, so let's go and do some other stuff. I mean, I've been doing that quite successfully with Jack, as I think I've commented a couple of times that I've been working on his hate of me touching his mane, which we're nearly there. He didn't let me touch it this morning, but that's the way he goes.
But you know what? I'd be curious about that. When you go to touch his mane, do you go very, very carefully and slowly? It is a hesitation. Or do you just go, how am I going to touch your mane today? I mean, you put your mug up next to his...
No, he's now kind of adapting to it. So what I tend to do is, obviously I was outside the stable, so I couldn't get close enough to him, but I tend to now just kind of dive in and scratch his neck under his mane, and then he goes, oh, it's not so bad, is it really? Because that was causing us a few technical issues. It's quite hard to get on him without actually touching his mane. You touch his mane and then he'd zoom away from the mountain block, and you're like, yeah, it's not making it very easy, fella. But once you're on,
what about if you didn't think? What about if you didn't expect that there is going to be a problem with his mane? What if you just got on?
Yeah. We're certainly going to have a crack at it. I've got all this space to do it. I've got no excuse.
One last question, Nicola. Do you ever do long reining with your horse?
Shadow, no, because long rein or lunge, she has a nasty habit of absolutely buggering off, which is not very funny. Jack, we haven't actually had the opportunity to do it yet, so that's going to be the next thing that I'll probably do with him. Is we'll do, because obviously as I'm doing so much groundwork, then I'm going to do that with him.
I'd have 2 bite sizes that I'd work on. I'd make that little obstacle course of the spooky things, spooky, because they won't be spooky in the obstacle, to train myself, and just to reassure myself that the horse can go past up the end of the field where you were having doubts and, I don't want to come off. I'd train them to long rein, and I'd long rein them past there just to reassure myself, they're fine.
Yeah.
That's the 2 bite size that I'd do.
Yeah, because
I agree.
Because Shadow's a bit of a monkey on the lunge and the long rein, and has repeatedly cleared off. And there's little tiny me, and as you can see, I'll turn around and show you quite how big her bottom is. There's her bottom, and here's me.
She's a dozer.
She's full Irish drop. She is enormous. So she's a big old girl. But when it powers up, it's like, yeah, seriously, you see the power coming on and going, it's my little arms, and I ain't gonna hold that. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm She-Ra or something.
Okay, that's hopefully we'll look forward to getting some report from at least one of
me doing some sensible stuff with no shoes.
I'm quite looking forward to that. Yeah, and enjoying what you do, enjoying the journey, and forgetting shoulda and their mates coulda and but. Yeah. Don't want them either.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a video later, and I'll be riding Jack around the field. Look, he's now scratching his bum on the door. Hi, Jack.
Lovely.
Fantastic. And regulation.
Brilliant.
Bring yourself back into regulation every step of the way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks for joining in, and we'll look forward to seeing the results. See you later.
Will indeed. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Enjoy the journey seems to be the crux of that. Moving straight on, we've had a very patient in the waiting room. We've got Helen and Claire, so we're just going to bob to Helen. Hello, Helen. Are you there?
Oh, hi. How are you?
Hello.
Fine, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm okay. I did see you at one of your shows at Norton Mellor Wars a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, and took a lot from it, which was fantastic. And I obviously keep update with your stuff. But as you can see, I'm in my bed. Had a nasty fall a couple of days ago, having a lesson cross country. Obviously, I haven't been out a lot with all the COVID stuff, but this time at 55 next week, I've not broken anything, but I'm in a lot of pain. My shoulder, a bit black and blue. And I've been so good. I did all what you said, all the trotting in, all the relaxing, because cross country is a real freak for me. I've fallen off a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But the last jump, I knew before I got to it that I wasn't ready. She clipped it. If it hadn't been bolted down, I'd have probably been landed on. So luckily she fell on her knee and I fell. And I just don't know how I'm going to get back on and be able to do it.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
So Helen, it's really important that you start looking at those regulation techniques. Wow, this has got a terrible feedback. So when you acknowledge that it's
Bianca, have you got it playing aloud on Facebook with a delay and a return or anything on your Helen? Have you got it
is that
playing
better?
on Facebook? Do you see what I mean?
Well,
the Bianca will speak, it will go around the system and then come out of somebody's speaker. So it's either you, Helen, or me.
I've got headsets on, and I'm not watching it from Facebook. I'm watching it from StreamYard.
I'm watching.
That's better. I have got no repeat now. Fantastic. So it's really important, firstly, to acknowledge that this is really hard for you. And there's a lot of fear, and that's okay. It's really fresh for you, especially because you've got a lot of pain, as you said.
Yeah.
So this is a period of being kind for yourself, to yourself, and resting and recovering rather than worrying about getting back on your horse.
Yeah.
And this is a really, really good time to is to use what you're not on Carl's course, are you? No.
On Carl?
No.
No, not
No. So there's a thing called an out breath that we use, and that's just a short in breath, a pause, and a long out breath. So just like this. Yeah. Now that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is about your rest and digest function. So at the moment, what's happening is your sympathetic nervous system is activated, which is called your fight, flight, freeze. That's what you might know it as. Which is when you start to feel really anxious, fearful, and scared. Your body's responding to a threat. So what happens is your body releases hormones to keep you safe. Okay. Yeah. But while you're sitting in bed, that's probably not the best time to be thinking about riding again. At the moment, it's about thinking about healing and getting better and managing your pain. But a fantastic thing would be for you to use that out breath, get yourself back into regulation, and remember all the fantastic times that you've had with your horse.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. This is not the time to focus on the fall. That's, you've got plenty of time for that to be sitting there. At the moment, just focus on regulation, getting yourself nice and balanced and calm, and then think about all the amazing things that you love about riding your horse and the great adventures you've had so far. So that my suggestion is that that's what you spend your time doing. And then that is going to leave you in the most fantastic skill on being able to regulate yourself very quickly, because you're going to need that before, when you start to get your boots and when you get your keys to go to your horse and, as you're getting your clothes on, ready to go. That's the point where most people start to notice that they're activated. So maybe their belly's getting a little bit tight or your mouth's going dry. Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your activated sympathetic nervous system. It is a natural reaction to keep you safe. All right? That's all. It's perfectly natural. You can't control that, but you can regulate yourself really. So as you start to become aware about what's going on inside what's going inside your heart, your mind, that kind of thing, quite often you can't think straight either. And that's because everything's going offline, basically. And so if you bring yourself back into regulation, then you're going to be able to logically think through what this means. And it's about being regulated before you take the next step. So it might take you, when you're well enough and healed and moving around again and taking on the world, it might be that it takes you half an hour to put your boots on, and that's okay. So you don't go to the next step until you're lovely and regulated and everything's nice and balanced, okay? And then you take the next step. And it might mean that this is what Carl's talking about, chunking. I'm pointing that way because, Carl's that way.
I know, it's all back to front, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And so this is that chunking Carl's talking about, that you take the next step, get regulated, and then you do the next step, right? Because what happens is all you're doing is re-traumatizing yourself. You're going back to that same, and you're pushing. And this is, I don't know about if it's in the UK, but in Australia we have this horrible historical term where just you fall off, just get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have that.
And
which I would normally.
Yeah, and
I couldn't.
Of course, but you knew you weren't going to take that jump.
I did.
You knew beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And if you had have been regulated, of course, it's a bit hard if you're going around the cross-country course and you're already a little bit activated. But if you had have been regulated at that time, it was quite possible that you would have gone, actually, I could do this. I could take this jump. I've done it before. I've just proved I've just gone round half a cross-country course or whatever you were doing. And so, yeah, it's about being regulated every step of the way, chunking it down. Don't get on your horse until you're regulated. Get on your horse and get off if you need to. And just understand that whether you logically can think about it or not, your body's registering a threat.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's always going. That's the situation where you see kids at a pony club, everyone just forces them back on the horse, and then the horse is reacting, and people are saying, just pull on the reins, and the kid is not responding at all.
No.
And that's because their prefrontal cortex, their thinking part, has gone offline, and they literally can't think. So don't get to that point. Get yourself regulated before you move forward.
Yeah, it's like you were saying earlier about that lady before said about I always feel I should be doing things because I want to prove that I can do them. But then when you do them, I'm dreading them before I get there. If you know what I mean, I can't expect to do it.
Yes.
But once I booked it to do it, I'm dreading doing it when I'm doing it. And I think of all the things I read, I watch Carl and think, yeah, don't think about that. Don't just think forward and keep moving. Don't. And I just.
What about feeling?
It's just this anxiety comes over me. If I
Yes.
gonna fall anyway, you know.
Yes.
It's
like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I never fell at all, and I've fallen about 10 times in a year, and I just don't know.
Oh, you must be awesome at falling.
That's pretty good.
So I'd just like to jump in and emphasise something that Bianca said at the start. As you're sitting there in bed, now isn't the time to decide whether or not it's possible for you to get back on your horse. Firstly, you know and I know that it is possible because other people do it. It's a possible thing that people can do, and if someone else can do it, you can do it. But now isn't the time to sit there analysing whether or not that's possible. Does that make sense? Is my voice? I can hear a funny echo. Is my voice coming through? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can hear a feedback noise.
So, yeah, I don't know why that is. So it's possible. Therefore, it's possible for you. But now isn't the time to try and work out how to do it.
Okay.
Tony Robbins says, it's not what happens to you in your life, it's the meaning that you put into them. So the fact that you're sitting there with your arms strapped up because you fell off a horse, if we could do this interview again and you were laying there because you'd tripped up the stairs, because there was a bit of loose carpet and you tripped up the stairs, you wouldn't have the same expression about getting back on your horse. In fact, you'd be doing what Bianca's just said, and you'd be sitting there going, can't wait till I'm better, I'll get back on my horse, I'm going to have a really nice time.
Yeah.
When it comes to fixing the stair carpet, you'll be all right about that because it's got no emotion. It's not what happens to you, it's not your strapped up arm, it's the fact that you're registering this means something because you got injured because you were out of bed doing something. If you don't want to get injured, don't ever get out of bed. And even then, you might be in a bit of danger. This is why you've fallen off a lot, because you're out doing things and trying things and learning something. Even when, how long would you give a kid to learn to walk before you go, look, kid, we need to talk. This ain't for you. The kid falls, it gets up, it falls, it gets up, it falls, it gets up. The fact is that you've fallen, you've got injured, and you've added in a meaning that doesn't exist. Because I promise, if you'd have done it falling down the stairs, you'd be doing nothing but looking forward to getting on your horse.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. not overthink it and just wait until I'm better.
Now ain't the time. Now ain't the time.
And practice your regulation skills, because you're going to need that when you do get back on the horse. Okay?
Very much.
So you already told us that prior to, you'd book a lesson and then you would feel dread. All right? That's when you use your regulation skills.
Okay.
Okay? The techniques. Use them now while you're in bed.
Okay.
You'll become awesome at it.
All right. I'll try. Thanks so much, both of you.
Thanks very much.
You're
Thanks for your
welcome.
call.
Bye.
And heal up.
I will.
Lovely. So that what you were saying about the regulation. What's the phrase again? Regulating.
Yeah, emotional regulation. Get your regulation techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So using that out breath, regulating your body, making sure that you're back into that balance before you take the next step.
Mm.
And so what you, yeah.
I'm going to ask you for one of your links now. Remember, I tried to get you to do some homework beforehand. If this is what people are wanting to hear, they want to find more. Can you stick a link in the chat, please, to give people something to click on and find out about you?
I might have to put it in the private chat because I can't put it in the live comments. Does that make sense?
Oh, all right then, yeah. Or put it to me and I'll put it in.
Yeah. Okay, easy. Okay, so I've got 3 things there. So what I've done is I've put online courses, I've put my Facebook page and my website. Okay. And I'm more than happy to yarn and things like that. And
I'll go
get because I can't put it into the live comment for some reason.
I can, so I'll do that. Claire's on the line, so we're going to get Claire into the meeting. Claire's. Hi, Claire. How are you? Claire's on the Mounted Division Ultimate Rider Confidence course, so she knows myself and Bianca already, and we know her. And indeed, people who've been watching this live broadcast know you quite well, Claire, because you're a regular contributor, which is jolly good. So I'll leave you two to yarn.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hello.
You're in bed too.
I know. I've been poorly a few days.
Oh, that's no good.
Oh no. Well, I'm on the mend, so we're okay. I've been talking to Carl about trying to get my daughter's pony doing what he should do, because my daughter, who's now come upstairs because she knows I'm talking about her.
Hello, gorgeous.
I'm trying to get her so that, well, at the moment we've been working in the practice paddock so that she can go down the corner at the end she doesn't like, and she's getting there. We're doing a lot of working equitation sort of exercises, but it's now trying to go to the next stage and go outside so that we can go hacking. But I know what she's worried about is she's worried about Barney going full pelt around the outside, because she has this little habit of.
Is she?
Yeah.
Has she said that?
Yeah, she just refuses.
Sweetheart, do you want to come on?
No, she's running away.
Just come on and you tell her. Oh, because sometimes it can be something a little bit different to that. Sometimes kids say what they think that you'll find acceptable, and it might be something completely different to what you think. And a friend of mine made this comment to me, which I thought was so fantastic, and I'd love to share it with all of you. And I think I probably shared it in the first course, that your horse is always in an arena while it's between your legs.
Mm.
And I thought that was quite, yes, isn't that amazing?
I like that.
And so it's always in an arena. It's always between a post because it's between your legs. And I think that was so amazing. But I would be asking your daughter to honestly tell you what her concern is. And sometimes it might be something completely different. You know, the confidence and worrying about things can be as simple as what other people think that your riding's like, or what other, sometimes it's the getting on that's the problem, not the riding. And so, yeah, it's quite an interesting, unique thing to each of us. So I'd be asking the question. So say something like, what is really bothering you about, is it Barney?
Yes.
Yeah. What is really worrying you about taking Barney out? And it can be the simplest. It's obviously very important to her. It may not be what you're thinking it is. And so I have people come, and the first session I do away from the horse, and I find out what it is that they're actually worried about. And 2/3 of the time they say, it's really stupid, but, and you go, okay, that's not stupid, but that's important to them.
Mm.
So, yeah, find out, because it might be something that you could simply sort for her, or just her hearing that it's okay can resolve that.
Yeah, because we have a track that I've made around the outside of the paddocks that I take my big boy out. And Barney, when he goes there, because the pair of them, as in my daughter and her pony, race each other, full pelt around the outside. So
fabulous.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't want to get on him and do that. So if
on the ground, they're running next to each other.
Yes, yeah.
Is that right? How wonderful! That's fun.
It is, but the concern is if she's on him, he's going to do the same thing. And
yeah,
he's a bit like.
Do you think that's possible?
What, Barney? Oh yeah. He's like a compact. He's like a bit like racing a mini metro. Full pelt.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, jump in.
Can I just jump in and ask, is there an element of presenting yourself at the same problem, the same perspective, the same direction? Today we're going to have a go at doing this. Is there an element of that we could change by either going to a different place and doing the same exercise with almost without making that link that we're doing this exercise? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. It's fine at the moment. It's finding somewhere that we can go, because at the moment we're pretty much stuck at home with our paddocks, what land we've got. I mean, we're very lucky that we can do that.
Sometimes it's even approaching it from the other way. I've known people get stuck getting out of a gate, and they're find themselves at this gate, and all it takes is for them to come through the gate the other way of seeing. When people have problems mounting, and I know you both have heard me speak about this before. You've got a problem and you're trying to train your horse to not jig around at the mounting block at the beginning of the lesson. It's always at the beginning of the lesson. What's more sensible is to train your horse in a different environment, i.e. not at the side of the arena in the beginning of the lesson, but in the middle of the arena 3/4 of the way through the lesson, or at the beginning, at the end of the lesson, when you've got off, walked to the stable, turned around and started to get on again, just for that fresh change in time or place or perspective, so we don't feel that we're constantly chucking ourselves at the same wall and going, the wall isn't, when we could walk around the wall.
Yeah, because the only other it is. I mean, the only other option is that I get on him and ride him around there. However,
as well,
that little bit in my mind is going, yeah, but what if he goes with me?
So you've got it too.
How fascinating!
Sorry. I wonder where your daughter gets it from.
Well, no, I've got it of her.
So I would be
Well,
curious to
someone
know
has
what we
to
were
get
just.
on it.
Yeah, yeah. You know how we were just talking before about regulation and understanding what you're feeling before you go near the horse? It
Yeah.
would be interesting to see what your daughter's feeling like before, when you go, hey, we're going for a ride today. What she's feeling, okay? Because that, if you could help her regulate before she gets to the horse, then and every step of the way, when she's mounting, when she's doing things, and sometimes it might be just simply mounting, walking 2 paces, getting off, and then getting back on, and walking 3 paces, and then getting off, and then, do you know what I mean? Slowly building it up, chunk it up, and getting off when you get to that part of the corner or wherever it is. Walk them round, and then get back on. And then, as Carl said, turn around and come back the other way. So at all times, making sure that your daughter and you, Claire, are regulated.
Yeah.
So try that. Try chunking it down, but being regulated before you get near the horse.
I mean, he's your typical gymkhana type pony. You know, the ones that will quite happily to spin on a coin and will go.
Yeah, fantastic.
Somebody has to try this horse out, because between you've managed to make this image of this nuts horse clearing off to the point where I'm starting to doubt it as well. And I'm not even there. I'm 100 miles away. And even there's a bit in my brain going, maybe the horse is a bit crazy. What should I say to Claire? But do you see what I mean? It's like we're starting to build up this whole thing.
Yes.
If someone just gets on it and goes around and goes, well, it's a bit strong when it comes back towards her, or no, it's fine as long as it goes into a regular and you don't hold it too much, or yeah, it does exactly what it's told. I don't know what you're worried about. Or this thing's mental, don't get on it. But whatever it is going to be unrelated to the mental story that you've managed to project across, and your daughter's projected it to you. You just projected it to me, and I'm there. I'm with you. I'm not getting on it.
Yeah. And also,
I mean, did your
daughter ride this pony outside without any problems?
Only on a lead rein, because Dad's always insisted that she goes on a lead rein.
Okay. So she's probably okay. There's a yarn, a story about a dad. This is no reflection on dads, because dads are great. A dad getting to a bridge and getting out and stomping across and going, oh, we better get off over the bridge quickly because the troll's going to get us. And doing that every single time they went over a bridge for years and years. And so, surprise, surprise, every time this person went to drive over a bridge as an adult, they would start to get like anxious. So yes, being on a lead rein is a safety thing, and that's great while you're learning. But at some point, it's really important that her dad lets her give it a go, as long as she's safe to do that, and she can stop the horse and things like that. At some point, it's about not projecting that anxiety about, oh gosh, if you're not on the lead rein, something could go wrong and blah, blah, blah. That all creates a very subtle level of anxiety, which makes it really hard to do anything new.
Yeah.
The bite sizes are get someone else to ride the horse who can test it for you, who hasn't got this presupposition picture going in their head. Get a more trusted horse and do the exercise on that, so that you haven't got that presupposition of yourself as a rider. And between those two things, it'll be we'll have a fair picture of what the horse is capable, what its behavior is. Because I'm not sure that we have got a fair picture of what the horse is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just need to get on him and do it, because I do it with my big boy all the time. You know, my big boy, as I said before.
But you're already anxious.
No, not really. No, it's more thinking. I think I've got to change it from, you know, like as Carl often says, it's not what if, it's if this happens, then I will do.
Mm.
And then that, and in the case of Barney, that's if I go for an almighty gallop. Well, he's got a very big bushy mane. I've got something to grab hold of.
I love hanging on to a good mane. It's so reassuring. It's like, this is fine.
Absolutely. I mean, he is a lovely horse, but he's
genuine question. What's the horse going to do? Is your guess? Let's turn it into a bit of a game. What do you think the horse is going to do?
If he decides to go full pelt, he will do his usual go for it gigantic fart that he does, and then off he goes. He's your typical pony.
And is that all fine? That's all rideable? It's not out of control?
When he goes full pelt, he goes full pelt. I mean, I injured
what to the point you can't get him back. You can't.
I can and have
push
done
him back into a canter.
He has done in the past where he's bolted off with me, and I've pulled him back and got him to stop. I have injured my core muscles doing it, which was my fault for not having strong enough core muscles. But
or
I can do it, and I can stop him. Yeah, but you know, this is one of those you have to stand up in your stirrups and lean back and half halt, and he does pull round. But it's just one of those. I think.
If you could possibly avoid them losing it in the first place, it's a lot easier. Prevention's easier than cure.
Yeah.
If you get up to a canter and then really grind that canter using your body like nothing, the horse won't go beyond your own body movements. You've got to really grind it. I've got a fast one that works very well for. As a suggestion, never take advice over the internet, but as a suggestion, it might help.
Yeah, and sitting heavy, you know, if you need to, not so much heavy with your hands, but yeah, you restrict the movements so that it's not something that they want to go faster. I mean, as a horse archer, we control our horses with voice. You know, stop, start, everything, because we don't have hands. They've got bows and arrows in them. So, do you know what I mean? Everything's trainable at some point. It's just how you do that, and fighting with a pony that's probably putting his nose up in the air and things like that is probably not a great way to start.
Without a doubt, everybody watching this broadcast wants to know what that pony is going to do. So it doesn't have to be you, it doesn't have to be your daughter, but somebody has to take that pony around, because we all want an answer now.
Well, whatever it is, someone has to video it so we can see too.
What do we want? An answer from Claire. When do we want it? Soon.
When she's feeling better.
Cool.
Absolutely. We'll do it.
You will?
Yeah.
I'm really curious. We want, actually, this would be really curious. I want estimation from you as to what's actually going to happen, an estimation from your daughter as to what's actually going to happen, and then go test it and find out, either yourself or somebody else, and find out what does actually happen, and just see how the things compare.
Yeah.
Because what I think,
just looking at a comment here, and it says the pony from hell.
No, he's
now look what you've done to him.
Poor fella.
I've got a funny feeling that it's just going to do exactly what it's told.
Especially if I close the gate the other side of the paddock so he can't belt into where he thinks the food is.
See, now we've got some strategies.
Yes, all this thing about arrange everything around you to increase the chances of 100% success.
Yeah.
whatever happens, if he does this, it's going to work well that way. If he chooses to do something else, then it's going to work well the other way. But yeah, we're all dead curious, and you're going to have to come back on and tell us what happened. And as Bianca says, take a video if you can.
Yeah.
Will do. Then you can all have a laugh.
I don't think we will have a laugh.
Well,
I think we'll just see a little
No.
pony doing its thing. Well, never take advice over the internet.
Well, thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very
You're
much. Thank you
welcome.
for joining
Fill
and
up.
providing such entertainment. See you later, Claire.
Bye.
See ya.
Well, that was the most enjoyable hour I think I've ever had. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you'd like to add?
You're welcome.
Anything else that you'd like to add or bob into the comments before you go? But it's just wonderful.
I just think it's really important to be kind to yourself. And I know I keep banging on about regulation, but if you just regulate, why are we here? Why are we here in the first place? We're here because we love riding horses. Generally, we're not here because we hate riding horses. We're here because we're passionate about it, and we'd like to either be better at it, or that we're recovering from something that's happened. So ultimately, remember why you're here, and at all times be kind to yourself, and just as you said, if you're worried about that, then you get someone else to ride the horse, and so you can see whatever it might be. But reach out. I can't say enough about Carl. Your overall ultimate rider course, I think, is like a spring clean on really looking at everything that contribute to confidence, and including the course that I do for you as the module. I think it's really, really important that if anyone is struggling or anything like that, or even if they just want to improve, then do your course, because it's fabulous. I'm just looking at Kerry's thing. You're asking if Claire rides with a neck strap. Okay. So it's really important to remove those shoulds. Make sure that you are not putting pressure on yourself in that way. And really, that's all.
Would you say, as far as your work goes, in both the horsey and non-horsey aspects, is this the main message that you're getting across to riders and people?
Yes, because being kind, validating how you're feeling, and regulating yourself is probably the biggest thing that I see every single day in what I do, whether it's horses or non-horses. Understanding that it's your experience that's very real for you, and it doesn't need to be like that. In whatever you're doing, there doesn't need to be fear, there doesn't need to be anxiety. There are strategies to help you move through that, and all of it takes inner awareness, so that you understand what's going on for you. You get on top of any time you notice your body getting being out of regulation or dysregulation, and you put your strategies in right there, and then you're able to control it very, very quickly. It's all about being kind, and the theory of paradoxical change. And I've just thrown that one in there. That it's only when we truly accept and embrace where we are at the present that change occurs, not because we want change, but in spite of wanting change. And so it's only when you fully acknowledge and accept where you are in life, in your horse riding journey or whatever it may be, and go, hey, you know, I was really scared shitless, excuse my language, in that situation. And, you know, that's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. And then put the steps in to move forward. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, if you obviously everybody listening is going to recognise that you're talking way beyond horses here. So everybody, the links. If you need to speak to Bianca further, she's just said you're up for a yarn, aren't you, Bianca? Get in touch.
Yeah, I am up for a yarn. That's right. And, you know, follow my Facebook page, like and follow it. You know, like just today I put something up on there about resilience. You know, there's a number of you, sounds like that that might be the 3 steps to resilience. It might be a really good thing for you. And it's just wonderful to see all the beautiful people from around the world that come onto that page. So join in, send me a message. And you know, some of you I've had one-on-one sessions with that I don't know, like 6 o'clock in the morning my time, and it's okay because I wake up early, yeah, and so don't accept where you are in the sense that that's how life is always going to be. If you want something different, then reach for it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for Bianca Stawialski.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good night.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Bianca. Thanks very much for coming. It's been an absolute honour. See you later.
You're welcome. See ya.
And there we are. Get in touch. Bianca comes fully vouched by myself and everybody who's been on the Ultimate Rider Confidence course. She's super, knows her stuff through and through. If any of it's appealed to you and you're thinking, I might, don't, I might, do. She's absolutely splendid. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye.